Thank you very much. Good evening. It's actually a very good evening. And I would like to thank all of those who have been able to cooperate for these projects and for these projects to become a success. And so I would like to thank Arianespace, ESA, GSA, OHB. But I would like also to have a special thanks for my colleagues from the Commission, because it might not have been obvious from the different presentations you have heard today, but Galileo is a program which is run and managed by the European Commission. And many of my colleagues have spent many years working on this and to make it a success. They are not in the sunlight, but they are quite effective, and without them, today will not be a success. So I would like really to have a round of applause for them. And actually, it's quite interesting that the EU member state, and I'm insisting on the EU member state, have decided to dedicate a part of the budget to a program like Galileo. Because let's be clear, we don't have so many successful projects at European level, where all 28 member states are working together to deliver something which will make a difference. And if I look at the reasons which are behind this decision by the member states, I see two fundamental reasons. First of all, they've realized that working alone is not possible for a project like Galileo. Without cooperation between all the member states, Galileo would simply not exist. Not one single member state could deliver it without cooperation with the others. So there was no choice. Either we would not have Galileo or we would be working together. And the second reason why it's a success and why it's a project which has been adopted at EU level is actually the fact that today we have not launched 4 satellites. What we have done, we have launched provider of services. And that's much more important at the end of the day. And sorry for the engineers working on the satellites. Sorry for OHB. But the real reason is why we want those satellites is simply because we know and we really believe that in the future, geolocalization will be fundamental for many services in the world. It's already the case now, but it will be even more true in the future. And if we want Europeans to remain in the lead, if we want our economy to remain competitive, we need to provide high-quality services. And today, again, with the launch that we have done, it may seem obvious launching 4 satellites at a time, but it's not so obvious, actually, I know, from a technical point of view. We have done it last year. We are doing it today, and I'm sure that in a few months' time, we will do it again. But still, it's quite complicated. But thanks to this effort, to those efforts, we will have enough satellites to provide the services which no one else in the world is able to deliver. And I've heard in the presentation that Galileo is still referred by comparison to GPS, the European GPS. I make a bet in a few years' time, GPS will be called the American Galileo. And I would like again to congratulate everybody and to wish you Merry Christmas and Happy New Year with 4 more satellites.
So, Minister, Member of the Parliament, dear colleagues and Galileo fans everywhere. So let me share with you what does it mean 4 more satellites for the Galileo constellation from the GSA point of view. So first of all, it means the remaining 4 satellites for the baseline, which we need for the enhanced service milestone step, which will be announced in about 1 year time. So this means, in concrete, a better availability. Yesterday you have seen in the diagram there were some holes around the world. These holes will be decreased, and hence the accuracy will be improved. But the enhanced service milestone will be more than that. It will be also a step when Galileo will start to deploy some specific features which do not exist in the other system, namely the so-called open signal authentication, which is stamps which the positioning data are indeed trustable. It will be possible to have the return link for the search and rescue mission, which means we know statistically this return link that the distressed people will be informed that the rescue team has been launched, so saving life. And finally, this will be also the opening of the service for the PRS, the public regulated service, which will start to enjoy the automatic distribution of the keys. And we expect that from that point in time, also the PRS will start gradually to be more and more adopted. But indeed, we do not need to wait up to the end of the year, up to this enhanced service milestone, because very soon, already in April next year, we will have a very important appointment, which is the entering into force of the so-called eCall regulation. Very important because as of April, all the new car model manufactured in Europe having in-car navigation have to be Galileo compatible. Very important because this means in a couple of years, 13 million of new cars compatible with Galileo. And as you can imagine, gradually this number will quickly increase. So this is certainly a market opportunity for many of you who are here. And finally, the enhanced service, finally, next year, very soon, we have heard that we had a new chip exploiting the 2 frequencies. Well, in spring next year, we expect to see the smartphone using this chip. And again, this is important for Galileo because it means that Galileo is used at its full potential. Today, Galileo has more satellites operating in dual frequency than GPS. So this is the first important, let's say, answer to the question, what does it mean for satellites for the agency? The second one is indeed that this is quite an important piece of work. Piece of work which is addressing quite an important market. A market which is talking to 7 billion users. A market which is valued $70 billion in 2025. So this means a huge market potential. It means that Europe is building the first pan-European infrastructure, which will be populated by applications and services, which will bring a tangible and significant value, economic value. And finally, 4 more satellites for the Galileo constellation from the GSA perspective means a fantastic piece of work. It means I was coming here today and I was making a rough computation, and I find out that the only launch of the 4 satellites and the manufacturing of the rocket means 2,200 man-years of work, 2,200 of very skilled many years of work. So this is really an opportunity to thank, first of all, OHB for the excellent work which has been done so far. Certainly CNES for, again, a new expert launch. CNES, which is actually on the first row, on the first line for the LEOP operation, and certainly the European Space Agency and the Commission for the good cooperation and the trust which have granted so far for the GSA. And of course, this is an opportunity also to thank all the GSA team, which has been, who has been working hard to get to this point. So a real thanks to all of them. And finally, I would like to recognize and thank the visionary hackers, entrepreneurs, public authorities, and leading business across the globe that have embraced Galileo. Today, we are honored to have leaders from 5 of the major device and chip manufacturers here today that have already Galileo-enabled their products. So, a real thanks to them to be here with us. A satellite launch is exciting because it is an awe-inspiring and inspirational beginning. In fact, the English word launch literally means to start or set in motion. Today, Europe has set in motion 4 more catalysts for employment and innovation that will contribute to a whole new range of services for users. Services that are delivered by a professionally and highly committed GSA. Thank you.
Good. This is a good job done. This is fantastic. This is always nice. I'm sorry we had to let you wait for a while. We had, as you will know, with the first 2 FOC satellites, a bit of a problem. We thought that it was all going well at the time, and we found out half an hour later that it wasn't going very well. And since then, we have agreed with the colleagues from Arianespace in particular that we will wait to make sure that the satellites are in order. So we have now the solar panels deployed on all the satellites. We have confirmation that they are in good order, that they are in a very good orbit, and that everything is fine. And you had to wait a bit for this, but this is better than having to announce that maybe it hasn't gone well. So from my side, this is once more an important milestone where we have worked together with many, many colleagues. You saw the whole bunch here just getting together. We have gotten to know each other very, very well here. There is a lot of trust between the teams from Arianespace, from the CNES, from the local authorities, from the Ariane group, joined now by the GSA, by Spaceport. So it is a lot of effort done by a lot of people. The Commission is always involved, so you see, as Pierre says, the combination of all of this together, the public and private sectors, is doing this result. So I would like to, from my side, also thank everybody. I think we're going to go for a drink. I can need one, I can tell you, and I'll see you tonight.
So first, I want to thank Arianespace for the perfect launch, the professionalism, and to have delivered our babies in good health. Je veux aussi remercier le CNES pour tout le travail sur la base, bien entendu, mais aussi tout le travail.
I'd also like to thank everybody here at the Space Center for the work done so far, and also for LEOP.
Customers, the Commission and the European Space Agency for their trust and their constant support. Our suppliers also, all around Europe, and in particular our partner SSTL. Besonders möchte ich auch mich beim OAB-Team für die harte Arbeit bedanken, diese 4 Satelliten fertigzustellen.
In producing these 4 satellites.
Each launch is a new endeavor for the launcher and for the satellites, and there is no routine, even if we have already launched 14 satellites plus the 4 of today. Each time the experience increases, but the success is not for granted. We are proud at OHB to have been able to put in place a reliable production process, as Wolfgang Pech described yesterday, in such a clear presentation, by the way, that it looked so simple. But I can tell you it is not simple. It is very sophisticated. Hence, surprise, Mr. Delso. This production process is our best asset to be able to complete the constellation and have Galileo fully operational in due time. And we are thankful to our customers to have placed again their trust in OHB for the third batch of satellites, 8 satellites plus an option of 4, which has been confirmed some weeks ago. We are also proud that these satellites, this new batch, will be among the first launched by Ariane 6, also because we are a strong contributor to this new launcher through our subsidiary MT Aerospace, both for the rocket itself and for the launch pad, which we visited today. So, again, long life to our babies, Nicole, Zofia, Alexandre, and Irina. Thank you.
So, colleagues and friends, those who know me very well here in the room, they know that I often have a lot of words to say. Don't be afraid, I won't do it. It's too late. I just want to say one thing. In recent years, we had a lot of interesting discussions on new space and on commercialization of space and on the new way and the new competitor from the United States. In the last 27 hours, I learned that we have our own way. It's a European way, and I think it's a perfect way. So, congratulations to Arianespace, to ESA, to CNES, to OHB, to the European Commission. So, congratulations to Europe. Let's move. Thanks.
I would also like to thank everybody involved. For 50 years, all of these parties have been investing in this tremendous project. It's probably the most complete, truly European project. That's because there were researchers who invested in all of this, and they really believed in it. Obviously, we're following the United States and the Russians, but I think we're going to overtake them as regards to this technology. I was taking a look at all of the people there, the teams, taking photos, but behind them there are millions of researchers. There are millions of people who are now actually retired, and they weren't here to share it today, but I'm sure that they're appreciating the fact that they made their contribution way back in time. So obviously this is a step on the way. The data provided is open data. There are 4 areas and where we're going to see applications. First of all, the public at large will see what Galileo is, will appreciate it, and will be able to use the results available to the public at large. And then there are the commercial developments, the different applications that have been identified. I think there are some 300 or so researchers in Belgium said that there were hundreds of applications possible in many different areas, whether it's marine activities or elsewhere. These obviously have economic impact, but also environmental and industrial significance, as well as others. And it will make it possible for them to continue research as well. Thirdly, and this again more for specialists, is the universal clock. All of the applications that can be made possible there. And in the world of finance, we know how important this is. We know that the Rothschild wealth came largely because they had a more rapid communication system than the British Army did. We were talking about days in those times, but now it's microseconds. And then it's also the question of security, classified data, interstate communications. I mean, this is a civilian project we're talking about, but at the same time, it's a security-based project. As a Belgian minister, I have to say how happy I am and delighted I am that Belgium believed in this significant project right from the word go. And it truly is a European project. It's sometimes difficult for Europe to find its way, particularly in politics, but here politicians place their trust in something that wasn't terribly visible. It wasn't easy to put a finger on. But now we're seeing it taking shape. So I'd like to thank all of you, all of the teams, all of the scientists, all of the academics, the young people, the less young people, the European Commission, ESA, and all of the industrial partners who've contributed to this project and who've made the launch a success, as were all of those before it. And it's just one step on the way to more applications. At the last but one European Council that we had in Frankfurt on autonomous vehicles, we realized that applications such as Galileo will give a real fillip to the sector. We know that constructors are thinking about autonomous vehicles in the 2023 or whatever. What's missing is a guidance system, in other words, the position of the vehicle, not just in relation to other vehicles, but in relation to physical obstacles and other objects. So Galileo will make a contribution there, and significant developments will be made. So I'd like to encourage you to continue to move towards Ariane 6 and further developments. We know that digitalization is on our doorsteps, and we see all of these developments are compulsory in our modern world. But the step made today through these sort of investments and scientific and industrial projects are vital if we're to move towards sustainable development, bearing in mind the social and economic components, and also the environmental side of things that we're also concerned with and want to make a contribution to in order to preserve the best possible environment for future generations. As we reach the end of the year, no, I don't know whether it was a Christmas tree decoration or four that went up into the sky at the same time, but let me say to you, for your families, for those close to you, your friends, your family, your colleagues, everybody, that I wish you all the best, not only for next year, but for the coming years.
Bien, mesdames et messieurs, donc il me reste à vous donner rendez-vous le 25
So, ladies and gentlemen, 25th of January of next year will be the first Ariane 5 launch of the year, and it'll be for two major operators, SES, SES-14 and YASAT with Alia 3. So it's going to be a very international launch. Merry Christmas, and thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of your evening.
So it is mission accomplished once again for Arianespace, and the 82nd success in a row for Ariane 5. Galileo's 19, 20, 21 and 22, Nicole, Zofia, Alexander and Irina, are now heading out on their journey to their final orbit. Our great congratulations to the European Space Agency, to the European Commission, to the GSA, the manufacturing teams, of course, led by OHB, and to Arianespace and the teams here at the CSG. And huge thanks to you, Eddie, for joining me here in the commentary box.
Thanks very much to you as well. And also, I would like to say a thanks to all the people who've been listening in. Obviously, it's very late for many of you in Europe, so you've been staying up quite late to listen to us, and especially to our friends and colleagues from Brussels, Germany, Italy, France, Spain, and the UK, and to all the teams who are still working on Galileo and operating it as we speak.
And we're going to leave you now with the images of the launch at 3:36 in the afternoon, Kourou time. And best of luck now to the LEOPS teams taking over the flying of the satellites, Eddie.
And also to the IoT teams who will be testing these afterwards as well. And finally to the operations teams who are looking after the full fleet of our satellites and the ground infrastructure.
Thanks for joining us live at the Guiana Space Center. From me, Katie Haswell.
And from me, Eddie Yao.
Goodbye.
Allumage. décollage.